Welcome back. I'm Kim Bailey. She's Fulyana Osborne, and this is Inside Exec. This is our first recording session after I have been away for a little while in India for the Flower Arranging World Championships. So if I sound a little bit under the weather, I am looking for the sympathy vote because I'm not getting a whole lot from anywhere else, I must say. But I will apologise if I do cough during the recording. I do apologise for that, but I am well and truly on the mend. This week we want to talk to you about dealing with fatigue when you are perhaps providing a one-on-one service with people, whether it's counselling or mentoring or any other area of consulting or consideration where you are dealing one-to-one with people all of the time, and how you deal with the fatigue that comes from that.
I guess a lot of you can relate to this, even in your normal jobs as you're dealing with people. But it's much more intense when it is, as Kim said, it's a one-on-one, every day, all day, counselling, casework or mentoring. Some of the things that might be helpful is don't take your work home. Now, that's easier said than done, but it is a discipline that you actually can build over time and realise it's good to prepare for your meetings, absolutely. It's good to reflect and absorb and process the end of the meeting, yes. But after that, that's it. I think it'll be good to keep that distance so that you are fresher again and you look at it with fresh eye. To me, don't take your work home, and if you have to, remind yourself and stop yourself. That would be the way to do that. The other thing is to adjust your schedule. Take a few things into account. One is don't have one meeting finishing and the other starting straight away. If you can have 5 or 10 minutes break between them, if you're in the same location, maybe you want to get up, walk around, do some breathing exercises, do something physical. In my case, for example, I do
food.
Things all over the city.
She looks for food in between.
Sorry?
You look for food in between.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's your
That's
routine.
Very important. Well, I deliberately have them different end of the city so that and obviously to serve the client, but to walk from one meeting to another. And yes, it's not funny. Eating is very important. If you don't, your sugar levels drop and then you're not focused and all of this sort of stuff. So yes, you've got to eat on time. And while we're on that, this is a very, very important point. Take really a lot of notice of the caffeine intake because you don't realize it. So You're kind of with people and you might have coffee and they offer you coffee. If you're in their office or whatever it is in your office, you just pour it. And before you know it, you might have had a lot more than what you would have liked to have had. So keep an eye on that and balance it so that you are aware of that. The important thing is that stretching is the walking and actually doing those breathing exercises. They sound funny. I don't do them, but I think it does help a lot of people and it'll be good if you did them. But I find the walking is the answer for me, is walking and stretching as I'm doing so.
What I'm hearing is that you need to have a routine for yourself. So you have to determine, this is the service that I provide, this is the activity that I carry out, and that is one part of what you do. But linked in with that then has to be the routine for making sure that you're at the peak of your game for every time you provide that service. So there is another responsibility that you have to yourself and to the service you're providing, to have that discipline of a routine and knowing what that is. And that I think the physical side of it is very important, because what you're providing in these sort of one-to-one situations is generally a mental service, for want of a better word. So the process of writing down what it is you provide, how long that takes, and then being very honest about what your recovery time is. We talked in one of the previous podcasts, I think it was about time management, about how I used to use my travel time as my preparation time and as my recovery time afterwards for whatever I was doing. And I think it's very important for you to know what those times are. How much time do you need personally to get ready for one of these sessions that you carry out? And then how much time realistically do you need to unwind from that and then start the process again of preparation for the next one? Because I don't think that you're doing anyone a service by doing back-to-back sessions. And I know sometimes in a commercial environment that can be difficult because appointments get booked this time. But it's up to you to manage that situation, to say, no, my appointment time is going to be... So say if I talk about the public speaking, my appointment time is 40 minutes, but sessions get scheduled every hour. So I have a 20-minute period of time where I can unwind from the previous one and prepare for the next one. You just have to know how you work best and how best your service can be provided, and write that into a routine and a discipline that makes it happen.
It takes me to a relevant point to what you just said, Kim. I was at the function and I was talking to a counsellor, and I asked how she deals with those things. And most of the things that we covered so far is what she also does. But she added another thing that I thought was interesting, and that is, she says, after a while, you've got a client base that you know. So for the next week or whatever it is, you know who, and you're scheduling your appointment. She said, I don't just schedule them based on time availability. I also look at the individual. And I said, oh, what do you mean? She says, the clients, once you know them, they at a different aspect of their journey. Some of them are at a very, very, very stressful and dark part of their journey. Others are in a celebratory side of they just achieve something and all of that. I mix them, so I don't have all the ones in the dark side or in the pressing side all together and all the euphoric ones together. She said that changes all the time, so I don't get it always right, but wherever I do take that as a factor, if I can, to see if I can mix and match, and that sort of give you different energies, give you the patience and the concentration, the deep concentration and empathy with both of them, but more so than with the other one, you have time to actually celebrate as well.
I think too that we need to recognise that sometimes it all does get just too much and you do need to have a break, and it's not something wrong with you. It's simply a matter of focusing so much on other people and other people's issues and trying to nurture them and help them along in whatever role it is. That is tiring. It is fatiguing, and you have to have some way that you know you can deal with that, whether that's that you go out and you go to the movies or you go out and do something that's totally mindless, or that you block off a day and you have a day off, because a day off is actually a really good thing to do, and it will re-energise you, give you some focus, give you a chance mentally as well as physically to recover from the effort that you're putting in. And it is a physical thing that you're doing, regardless of whether you're sitting in at a desk or not. And we have to recognise that fatigue will happen, and you can't just keep going on. And I understand that for many of you it is a personal commitment, and you are worried about these people's lives and how they're dealing with issues. That's when you have a support system in place as well, so that they know that if you're not available for whatever reason, there is someone else that you trust with their information or their livelihood or whatever else it is, that you have said to them, in the event that you can't get hold of me, try this person. I trust this person. And it's a personal thing. You've got to say to them, I trust this person to treat you the same way that I do, and it'll only be in an emergency. And that way you have some freedom to allow yourself recovery time.
Sometimes people say, well, I can't afford a day off, but you should make the time for sleeping and for a break. The other thing is, if you really, sometimes there's a peak and you don't have a whole day to yourself, try and break it up by having morning sessions only, meet a friend and go for a walk in the afternoon, or have a 2-hour break walking and talking about nothing, and just having a bit of a laugh doing that. And also remember that you will be much better at your job if you remain compassionately detached. So detach yourself, but it doesn't mean you're less compassionate. You need that breathing space so that you can do your job better in any of those professions. It makes you more objective and fair if you do that. And I think one thing is really important. You're going to hurt when things don't go the way that it was planned. But you know what? That's their experience. You're there to guide, you're there to listen, you're there to support. And when things don't go right, you do it again. That's all. You support again and again. It doesn't mean there is no black and white, as anybody in those professions know.
A fairly important point for us to emphasise is that you're not there to fix things. You're there to help find a solution, or help find the path to a solution. But I think there are a lot of people in those areas who fall by force of habit, perhaps, to thinking that they have to fix something. Bottom line is that they go into these areas because they are fixers, for want of a better word. They like to see things resolved, and so they believe that it's their responsibility to fix it, and it's not. And that's why we are suggesting you keep these issues at arm's length and make sure that you don't take on someone else's urgency or someone else's issues as your own. I think we've probably covered that topic fairly well.
I think we have, but if anybody else has any tips that they used or felt they worked really well, please share them.
We'll leave it there for the moment. I'm Kim Bailey, she's Fulyana Osborne, and this is Inside Exec.